Alright, solving one-step equations. Okay, so basically one-step equations are you do the operation that you need and then you're done. Okay, you have your answer, you've solved it and stuff. And what that is that implies working backwards. So what we've talked about so far is a method called guess and check. It's where you take a solution and you check it. Okay, so you pick a solution and check it. Now I like to involve the idea of working backwards with inverse operations. Okay, and I'll explain what that looks like in a sec. So let's get it. Okay, so there's a table for C and what you see and what you do. Okay, so if you see addition, you need to do subtraction when working backwards. If you see subtraction, you need to do addition. Oops. Okay, if you see multiplication, you need to do division. And if you see division, you need to do multiplication. Okay, so just some examples for that. X minus 5 equals negative 7. Okay, so what I see is what's right next to the variable and the number. So I see minus 5. So now what I'm going to do, and this isn't just called balancing the equation, it's actually called the additive property of equality. In other words, I've added this. If I add to one side of the equation, I can add to the other side of the equation. Okay, and that's what balancing is. So I add 5 to each side, and so that's how I get negative 2. Now if I wanted to check my work, I would take this negative 2 and plug it into here and see if I get a true statement. And if I do, which I do, I can move on. Okay. Alright, now let's say we had y plus 17 equals 0. Now let's go 10. There we go. Alright, so some number plus 17 gives me a number less than 17, so that's interesting. So you want to think about the concept like, am I in positive or negative? That will help out too. But basically, what do I see? I see addition, adding 17. So I'm going to minus 17. And more importantly, I'm going to do it to both sides. Okay, so x equals, nope, sorry, not x, it's y. Y equals negative 7. Okay, check it with your calculators, I'm pretty sure it works. Alright, now this one's more difficult. 3z equals negative 15. Okay, you don't see an operation, but what you technically do see, it was when you don't see an operation, it's actually times. 3 times z equals negative 15. Okay, so once again, what do you see? I see times. That means I do division. So what am I going to do? I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I divide both sides by 3, and this is how you properly write it. And I should get z equals negative 5. Okay? Now if I had something that was like 4 divided by x equals 12. Well, no, that's a little bit more. We'll talk about that one in a sec. Let's go x divided by 4. And you'll understand why the order is important in this one. Okay? So once again, I look for what I see, and I see division. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides. And you can write it down here. It's totally up to you. Okay, and I get x equals to 48. Alright, another way of checking the work is to plug it back in and ask yourself, is 48 divided by 4, is that 12? And you can talk it out, usually one-step equations pretty easily, and go, oh, yeah, that does make sense. However, you do not want to go too fast and go through this process and forget your basics. Like, for example, one that commonly trips people up. 5 minus x equals 8. Okay, now this one, a lot of people will go, oh, what do I see? I see subtraction. That's where you're wrong. Okay, what you actually see is a positive 5 minus 8 equals 8, or minus x equals 8. Okay, so what we actually should be looking for is, and I should have brought this up earlier, but I am bringing it up now just to show you guys, you need to be looking for the operation in front of the number. If you're not looking for the operation in front of the number or within relation to the variable, then you're going to have a hard time with this. Okay. Alright, let me show you what happens if you add the x. Okay, so if we add the x, now we can't add those two together, so I get 5 equals 8 plus x. Now you're not any closer to your answer. Okay, so you can still work on that and actually get the answer from it, but you know, in this case we're just going to worry about the right way. Okay, so I see a positive 5, so if I treat it as minus 5, okay, now I get rid of the number and I get negative x is equal to 3. Okay, now some of you guys are probably at home going, wait, that doesn't look right, because negative x equals 3, and all the other circumstances he had the variable being positive. Okay, so when this happens, you want to divide by negative 1. Now the reason why we want to divide by negative 1 is because it's the multiplicative property of equality, and it's also the negative multiplicative property of equality, because when you divide by negative 1, you just change the sign. Okay? X equals negative 3. And plus, when you plug in negative 3, it makes more sense, because negative 3 minus 8, or 5 minus negative 3 is going to be 8. Much faster than 5 minus 3, if I just had the 3 there. Okay, so those are some tricky ones that people come up with, and they just sit there and they go, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? And it's because of this lack of plus in front of the 5 that they don't pay attention to. Okay, so solving one-step equations, nothing too tricky for you guys. Now fraction ones, and I do want to show this, I almost forgot it. Okay, fraction ones, 1 divided by 4, x equals 7. Let's go 8. Okay, this is no different. Okay, you want to look for what you see. So I see nothing, so that means multiplication. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1/4. And some of you guys are like going, oh no, I don't know how to divide by 1/4. And it's, well, that's first off kind of scary. That fractions scare you so badly that you cry like that. But second off, it's not that scary if you use a calculator, or if you pay attention to the fact that you cannot divide by a fraction, but you can multiply by its reciprocal. So you can do this one of two ways. You can use your calculator. Obviously this side cancels out, and you would get x equals 32, and you're probably sitting there going, wait, how did I get a number when I divided a big number by a small number? How did I get a bigger number? Well, it's because you're cutting up 8 into quarter-sized pieces. How many pieces are there? There's 32. Or you can multiply by the reciprocal, which is just a flipped version. Okay? And you can ignore this fact. And so it's now becomes 8 times 4, which is 32. So whichever method you use, just remember when you're dividing both sides by a fraction, flip it and multiply it. I think a really common one that scares a lot of people is like this: 5/12. Y equals 10. And some people go, oh my gosh, that's so scary. Well, it's not scary because you already know the trick. I just showed you the trick. You're going to divide both sides by 5/12. Okay, now if you do the flip and multiply, okay, well, if you multiply both sides by the reciprocal, you're going to go 12 divided by 5, okay? And you go y equals 120 divided by 5. Well, that just equals 24. That just equals 24. Sorry, I had to do the multiplication in my head real fast, or the division. Okay, so these are the tricks of solving one-step equations. Now, next video, we're going to see how to solve two-step, and I will show you that in a little bit. Thank you guys very much, and have a great day.